On the board, you will see a cost analysis for construction of a 30,000 square foot facility, which will encompass both factory and office space, and is fully serviced by all utilities, a railroad spur line, and a 4-bay shipping dock.
Hold it. Why build? Hey, you're better off leasing at $1.25, $1.50 a square foot. Take your down payment and put it into CDs, or something else you can roll over every couple of months.
Thank you, Mr. Mellon. But we'll be concentrating on finance a little later in the term. For the time being, let's just concentrate on the construction figures, shall we? You will see the final bottom line requires the factoring in of not just the material and construction costs, but also the architect's fees and the costs of land servicing.
Oh, you left out a bunch of stuff.
Oh, really? Like what, for instance?
Well, first of all, you're going to have to grease the local politicians for the sudden zoning problems that always come up. Then there's the kickbacks to the carpenters. And if you plan on using any cement in this building, I'm sure the Teamsters like to have a little chat with you, and that'll cost you. Oh, and don't forget a little something for the building inspectors. Then there's a long-term cost, such as waste disposal. I don't know if you're familiar with who runs that business, but I assure you it's not the Boy Scouts.
That'll be quite enough, Mr. Mellon. Maybe bribes and kickbacks and mafia payoffs are how you do business. But they are not part of the legitimate business world. And they're certainly not part of anything I'm teaching in this class. Do I make myself clear?
Sorry, just trying to help, that's all.
Now, notwithstanding Mr. Mellon's input, the next question for us is where to build our factory.
How about Fantasyland?
You're listening to Foundations for Founders, a podcast about startups and life and everything in between. Hi, welcome to another edition of Foundations for Founders. I'm Dan in Post Falls.
I'm Angel in Seattle.
Yeah, so we took a little bit of a break there.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, schedule changes, so
yeah.
So we're changing it up. We'll be recording on Sundays now.
That's true.
So we'll still do the show, people.
We're here for you.
We are here for you.
It's the Founder Nation.
So, absolutely. So, Angel, how you been? How was your weekend or your week?
My week plus.
Yes.
Pretty good. I'd say relatively average. I didn't realize that I'd be getting Monday off this week due to the holiday, which is super nice. So gives me
that's cool.
Yeah, it gives me a little more time to work on some other stuff. But overall, not too bad. Nothing super extreme other than the crazy weather out here. Rain, no rain, all in the span of one day. And today's been absolutely nuts. And that's about it, man. That's about it. How about you?
Well, I'm just living here in Post Falls.
Living the dream?
Living the dream.
Every morning you wake up and you look in the mirror and you say, you know what, guy? You're living the dream.
I don't know if you know this about Post Falls, but I want to say it was recently ranked or voted, one of the two, Idaho's second most boring city in the state. That's where I live, people.
What came in first?
I don't know, and I knew you were gonna. I've already started Googling that answer.
That's probably a good thing.
So let me see what the answer is. But I know that they say Post Falls is boring because of its lack of stuff to do.
Yeah.
Like all we really have is bars and stores.
There's not much to Post Falls. It's
No.
sort of a series of one or two exits along I-90 between Seattle and the rest of humanity.
Right. So the most boring city in the state of Idaho is River City, just outside of Idaho Falls.
Which is funny because Post Falls is the River City, right?
That is the slogan, yes. So yeah. Whereas Coeur d'Alene, which is literally 10 minutes away, was ranked the second most interesting city in Idaho.
Well, there you have it.
Boise of being the most
if you need to go shopping or get a drink somewhere, Post Falls, and then go party in Coeur d'Alene. Sure.
Right. I mean, I'm not going to say that Post Falls is boring. I live here. I'm not going to dog on my own town. But I'll put it to you like this. There was a movie theater in town. It shut down due to lack of people going to it. So I don't know if that's the town. I don't know if that's the people in the town.
Who ranks and or votes cities based on their interest level or excitement level? Like where on the World Wide Web was this posted?
This was according to moveoto.com.
Sure.
movoto.com.
It's our friends at moveO2.com.
Right. They're the ones who put this together. And apparently it's an online real estate blog.
Well, that just says it all. Yeah.
Right.
So we have friends everywhere. We've got all kinds of cool friends that shout out at us. We have the Founder Nation everywhere. We just learned we have some friends. The Sharpshooters have an awesome podcast, and I got to listen to those guys. It was absolutely awesome that they gave us a shout out. Wanted to plug those guys and say, hey, Internet Radio Superstardom shared with you guys. How awesome is that?
Absolutely.
That's great.
Yeah, it's actually one of my favorite shows. I've been listening for years, and I was writing in just to ask a stupid random question. It's a wrestling
podcast.
Right. I love wrestling, so that's it. That's all I'm going to say about that. But basically, I was just asking them a stupid question. They answered my stupid question, and then soon after that, immediately after, they gave Haggle Champ a shout out. So that was really cool.
Super awesome.
Yeah, it was
so
very exciting.
We got to replug and say the Founder Nation should give him a shout. Check him out.
We have the clip up on our Facebook page.
And their podcast is iTunes. Are they everywhere? Where are they?
They're on iTunes as well. Yep. The Sharpshooters. That's DA Sharpshooters.
And they're Southern California guys, right? They're
guys. Yeah, Orange County, I think. They always talk about being around that area. But yeah, it's great show, fun show.
Absolutely awesome. Thank you guys from here in Seattle, out there in Post Falls. We want to say thanks very much for giving us a plug. That was awesome.
That was very awesome.
And on topic, cool. I guess we have a Royal Rumble coming up for you. Is that right?
Oh man.
What's going on?
Okay.
What's going on here?
Here's where I get excited. Okay, look. All right. This is going to be the third time that John Cena and Brock Lesnar face each other. Now, this time around, they decided to incorporate Mr. Money in the Bank, Seth Rollins. Now, this is a horrible, horrible idea because clearly they don't want Cena to lose and they don't want Brock to lose. So Rollins, their new guy, the guy that's awesome on the way up, he's only in that match just to get pinned, and that's frustrating.
Well, you heard it here first.
Right.
Yep.
And that meant nothing to anybody else out there.
No.
Unless it does mean something to you out there, then email me, Daniel@hagglechamp.com or @DanReyes on Twitter, because I will talk wrestling with you along with startups and business.
That is factually correct. If you want to talk about anything other than wrestling, you can find me on the Twitterverse @AngelAspects21 or Angel@HaggleChamp.com.
Now, Angel, you're the big football fan.
That's true.
Right. You got me into the fantasy
league.
All right, we're down. We have our Super Bowl. Oh wait. Oh, that's right. We can't say Super Bowl.
We can't?
No, we cannot. NFL has strict rules about saying SB on broadcast of any kind.
Oh, really?
You have to pay them a ton of money.
Oh, I see.
So that's why you always see in commercials the big game or the championship game.
Oh, I see.
Have you ever noticed? Yeah, that's why they do that, because they own a copyright on Super Bowl.
I didn't know that. So omit all of the S bowls that we just said on air.
Right.
And can we? Well, there's got to be. Can we call it a broth bowl?
We could call it. We can come up with any name that we want.
A big broth bowl. You could call it. You could call it Super if you wanted to.
No, the XFL called theirs the really big game at the end. I'm
Serious?
Not even kidding.
The really big game at the end.
The really big game at the end.
Yeah. Well, we've got a lineup for that right.
For the really big game at the end.
For the really big game at the end with broth in it.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's going to be these Seattle Seahawks from right here in my town, and who else is going? The New England Patriots.
That's right.
That's Super Bowl 49 or XLIX if you prefer.
No, you were texting me a little while ago, and you said that that people were celebrating in the street?
Yes. So here's a history lesson. This time last year, the Seattle Seahawks won the Super Bowl, right? And I was at work, and I left after the game, and thankfully I think it was in New Jersey, at wherever the Giants play.
Right.
last year, so it wasn't like it was at home or anything because those games get crazy, and I work really, really, really close to the ballparks here. So driving home, heading toward the west end of town, and there was a man seated in a lawn chair. And mind you, it's January, it's cold, like real cold, raining, borderline snow, and he's not wearing anything at all in a lawn chair, just sitting there with a
Oh, wow.
Seahawks flag in one hand, Seahawks hat on his head was the only thing he was wearing, and that was it. Just waving
So
at people.
he was wearing nothing but a smile.
That's it. That's factually
Right.
correct, and a ball cap,
Okay.
yeah. So,
Right.
of course, after the two games today, and the Seahawks on the West Coast played from like 12 Pacific to 3:30 Pacific because there was an overtime, and
Right.
nothing but screaming, shouting, car horns, fireworks. The screams and yells are still going on outside. It's pretty crazy.
Dogs and cats living together.
Yeah, I think so.
That's from Ghostbusters.
Yeah, they might be.
They might.
Yeah,
be.
they might be.
They might be.
Mm-hmm.
All right, man. So I gotta ask, who do you got? Seattle or New England?
I don't want to say on air.
Oh no.
I don't want to say on air.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because
Okay.
my fandom points may be called into question.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
But basically the New England Patriots by a landslide because I hate Seattle. I don't hate
There you
Seattle.
go.
I hate the Seattle Seahawks. Yeah.
Where does this hatred come from?
For the love of my beloved San Francisco 49ers, and it's not just me being a Northern California native. I will say, if God didn't love San Francisco, then how come sunsets are red and gold? You know what I mean? That's what I have to say. So,
Wow.
yeah. So I always root for the NFC in the big game at the end, and
Right.
with Broth in it.
The really big game.
Yeah,
at the end.
I'm sorry, the really big game at the end with Broth in it. And
Right.
I will probably have to root for the Seattle Seahawks because they
Okay.
represent the NFC, and it just hurts because I'm a Niners fan. That's all. I'm just saying it hurts.
So
I'll root
much
for
like
them.
you,
I'll root for them, but I don't think they're gonna win.
so much like you, my team has not made the really big game at the end.
Uh-huh.
I am Hispanic and I am from Southern California.
Okay. Oh,
I had no option. I grew up a Raiders fan.
there you go.
Bo Jackson, all that, yes. Now, I'm not a big sports guy. If you asked me to name anybody on the team right now, I would probably struggle and say Gannon, question marks. And I don't, right. So that tells you something right there because you're already laughing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay. So my team isn't there, and the only way they're going to make the really big game at the end with Broth in it is by buying tickets.
Mm-hmm.
So, at least for the foreseeable future.
Sure.
Sure,
They're-
at least
they're
as
in-
far as I know.
They're in rebuild mode. I mean, they have been in rebuild mode for about 35 years, but
Right.
they are in a good rebuild mode, I think. Because,
Hopefully.
yeah, their quarterback seems like he's got a good head on his shoulders, and they just need to sort out a few other pieces, but they're not a horrible team. They didn't come in last
think it was-
place. Normally they do.
Right. So, moving on up.
Yep.
So, yeah, so that's my team. As far as the really big game at the end with Broth in it,
Mhm.
I think I think Seattle will walk away with it, but I will just say New England, just so that way we can both say, well, I have this guy and you have that guy. Is it bad? I'm actually just more excited about the movie trailers that'll be during the game.
Well, it's the commercials I live for.
Yeah, same
Yeah,
here.
absolutely.
Same here. Okay, I have my prediction,
Mm-hmm.
and I've told you this off air,
Uh-huh.
but I really think that we will have a Haggle Champ Super Bowl commercial within 3 years.
Can't say the S-Bowl word, my friend.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
The really big game at
He
the
didn't
end.
mean that. That's not what he
No,
said.
I did not mean that.
Yep.
No.
That's
I don't
what
know
we
what I
heard
said.
somebody else say one time, and
One time.
It was a misunderstanding.
Somebody
it was a
somebody who did not
misunderstanding.
respect right.
Yeah.
Somebody who did not respect trademark law.
That's correct. That is factually correct.
That's right, and I respect it.
But not this season, guys. I'm sorry.
Not this
Yeah,
season.
we
No,
can't-
no. We're not there yet.
Nope.
But that's my plan. That's one of the goals.
That's a
so.
shared vision. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. So,
Oh,
yeah.
last really big game of the year at the end with Broth in it. Note. I
Right.
believe the halftime show is Katy Perry this year, which excites probably nobody that watches football. But you're familiar with the Puppy Bowl, right?
I am, yes.
Yes. Do you know who is performing the halftime show at the Puppy Bowl?
I thought the halftime show was the Puppy Bowl.
Indeed, but that's a totally different network that airs it just for fun or whatever, and it's actually picked up
Right.
steam. Yeah. It would be Katy Perry's cat, Kitty Purry.
Is it actually her cat?
Yes.
That is amazing.
Actually named Kitty Purry. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Wow. Which is great for, I mean, again, football fans nowhere rejoiced at that. But, yeah, that's my final note.
I was hoping it'd be Grumpy Cat.
Yeah, well, didn't Grumpy Cat just have a movie, too?
Yeah, Grumpy Cat had a movie.
Yeah, some, like,
with
Disney,
what's her name?
I don't know.
Andrea Plaza being the voice.
Oh, yeah, she was in, I've never even heard of her name.
She
I don't
was
know
in
who that
Scott Pilgrim versus the World.
Oh.
And she was in
don't...
Parks and Rec, I think. Yeah.
Lost on me.
Okay, well, if I showed you a picture, you'd be like, oh, that girl.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyways, we should probably get to our stories because we've been
yeah,
rambling for a while.
Mailbag, yeah. What's happening in the world today?
Well, okay, so first one out of the gate. This comes from Bloomberg.
Yeah.
Yeah, this comes out from Bloomberg.com,
Mhm.
and it's actually an update to a story we've been talking about for a while
Yeah.
now. Update about our friends at Radio Shack.
Friends at Radio Shack. The Shack, as it were.
The Shack.
Yep.
And the headline reads, Why Sprint Wants to Buy Some Radio Shack Stores in User Race.
Mm-hmm.
So, Bloomberg.com...
company.
Yeah. So Bloomberg.com is reporting that Sprint is interested in acquiring the leases to about 4,000 Radio Shack stores.
And get them cheap.
Right.
Yep.
Because Radio Shack looks like they're going to file bankruptcy.
Yep.
Yeah. Kind of no surprise there.
Can I read the lead into the story because I love it?
Yes.
Sprint Corp's new Chief Executive Officer Marcelo Clare has a turnaround plan that hinges on reversing the loss of customers and avoiding a drop to fourth place among U.S. wireless carriers. That's where a teetering electronics chain relic comes in.
That's awesome.
Thanks, Bloomberg.
Yeah,
I know, way right? to paint a gorgeous picture of this brilliant business move.
Yeah. So apparently Sprint thinks that Radio Shack's got some great locations for Sprint stores.
Mm-hmm.
So they want to buy these Radio Shack locations and open up Sprint stores.
Yeah, but these guys' partnership is at later states, and I didn't know this, runs pretty far back. They say Radio Shack's been a key sales partner for Sprint since 1996, because they were the first company to get in there and have their phones in like an over-the-counter store, which I thought was kind of cool.
Yeah, that's true.
Yep.
That's true. Sure, if that'll help Sprint out and it'll help Radio Shack out, the Shack. Why not?
Yeah.
I know that they feel that they need to expand. Sprint does, in order to not drop. I will say I myself am a Sprint customer.
Mm-hmm.
I'm okay with their service. I mean, I don't think it's amazing. I don't think it's horrible. It works and awesome.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's that. Do you have anything else you wanted to add, or is that cool?
We're good there, man.
Okay, well, let's move on to the next one. The next one comes to us from ABC News, and the headline reads, U.S. manufacturer of Oreo begins building new Bahrain plant. So, the U.S. food company behind Oreo cookies and Ritz crackers says it has begun construction of a new $90 million plant in Bahrain to keep up with the growing demand in the Middle East, Africa, and Mondial international products. So, or for Mondial international products.
Yeah.
So, essentially, they're going to build a 2.7 million square foot plant for cookies and crackers. The plant will have the capacity to produce over 90,000 tons of food a year.
That's amazing.
That is amazing.
It's a ton of Oreos.
Yes, and it'll create 300 new jobs in that region.
an abysmal number for all those big numbers you just read, don't you think?
I thought that
2.7
too.
million square feet.
Right.
All these cookies and crackers is 300 jobs.
Right.
Yeah. Anything's better than nothing.
I guess it's so automated,
Well, yeah, most of that stuff I suppose would be. Any gut reactions to business implications on this one, man?
I think it's good that they're expanding. I mean, it's a U.S. based company, so that's cool. I think it's great. I'm actually amazed they didn't have a plant in that area earlier.
Yeah.
But I guess the Middle East is more of an untapped market for them. Not surprised that Oreos are so popular in the Middle East because they're delicious, and oddly enough, vegan.
Yeah, I heard that.
Yeah. There's so many chemicals in them. They're vegan.
Yeah.
So that's cool. And if you're counting at home, that's the first time I've mentioned being vegan.
Yeah, first time ever on the show. So you heard.
Right, ever.
Yeah,
Right. I don't bring it up almost every episode.
That's true. Not even close.
Not even close at all.
I'm shocked.
No.
I've never heard that before.
Right.
Yeah.
Never heard this before.
Mm-hmm.
Ever. Right. Ritz crackers are pretty delicious as well.
Mm-hmm.
So to our friends in the Middle East, enjoy the cookies and crackers.
Yeah.
And the jobs, apparently. All 300 of them. You're right.
It just seems like wah-wah at the end of a story, you know what I mean?
Well, I'm thinking, okay, well, how many people does it take to run the machines? How many people does it take to, run the export out of it? You're like, okay, the shipping. Is it really just 300 people?
I would think so. Something like that probably would be more machine than man.
Right, and then you'd have a management structure. So, okay, let's say of that 300, 50 are managers. Let's say, admins and managers.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so another 100 in manual labor workers of a sort, line guys and all that.
Okay.
So you're halfway there. Another, let's say, 50 running like boxing and putting on the trucks. So that's only 200. So yeah, I guess maybe 300 for. Yeah, I guess.
That sounds about right. I mean,
yeah.
There's a lot that goes into that, and but on a plant level, that's probably about right.
Yeah,
that's probably about right. Because you'll have your shipping, your analytics, your plant operators, managers. You'll have one or two tech guys that are like on call, and you'll have various other things that I'm unaware of that go into that. But I don't think I think just for a plant side of things, that's probably it.
Yeah, that's true. All right, well that's cool.
Yeah,
Good for them.
The top 10 cookie suppliers for 52 weeks. The last number I have on this from AIB Online is from 2011. And these guys are Nabisco, right?
Mondezels.
Who is that? Who owns Oreo cookies? I thought that was a Nabisco thing.
No, I think Nabisco is a subsidiary of another company.
I gotcha. They are not even on the list then.
Right.
Yep. Nabisco and Kraft is 71.6 million in sales.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's for.
What, Nabisco and Kraft is 71.6 million?
That's per month, just about.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
I thought you were going to say per year, and I'm like, wow, that's really low.
Yeah, no. They're in the billions for annual sales, yeah.
Okay, all right.
Yep.
Okay, so our last news story comes to us from NPR, NPR.org.
Yeah.
Let me just read you this headline because it's kind of awesome. Sit, stay, call 911.
Yeah.
Fido Vest gives service dogs an upgrade. This is like my new favorite story. So essentially, wearable technology is not dead. Even though Google Glass has been, gotten rid of, wearable technology is not over. The brainchild of a group called the Fido Project, headed up by Dr. Melanie Jackson, director of the Center for Biointerface Research at Georgia Tech, has created a vest for service animals. FIDO stands for Facilitating Interactions for Dogs with Occupations, which is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Essentially, Dr. Jackson says, essentially we're putting technology to wearable clothing for dogs. They have created these vests that have sensors that a dog can activate their normal dog abilities, such as biting, tugging, or just touching it with their nose. These vests can be used to call 911, alert of a recovery. So, like, let's say you're using the dog to help find somebody under some rubble. The dog can bite on a thing or put its nose on something, and that'll alert the other rescuers that, hey, we found somebody.
Wow.
They're also saying that these vests can be used for people with seizures, that have seizures, epilepsy. The dog could then bite onto this it looks like a little a bite bar, and that would call 911, just alerting them, and then using GPS they could come and recover the person.
That's pretty slick.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I like it.
I like it too.
My dog would let me perish. He would not know how to use that.
I think Otis would save you.
I don't think so. I think he would lick my chin.
I could see Bear doing that.
Yeah.
I could see. Yeah. I don't think Bear likes you.
No, and nobody likes Bear. And I
and
wonder how
likes
that
Bear.
feels.
I wonder how that feels at all. I think my dog would be disappointed at me and wondering why I'm not playing with him.
Right.
As he looks at me in judgment right now. He is at my feet right now. And all he wants to do is play, and the fact that I'm mentioning him and looking at him, he's wagging his tail and getting excited. Right.
Well, I mean, who doesn't want to be part of the movement that is Foundations for Founders? It's
right,
stardom.
absolutely.
Even the dog wants in.
Even the dog wants
true.
in. Right. So, I don't know about that, but yeah, I mean, this is really cool stuff, and I like, I never would have thought of this, and I think it's great application.
Are these guys a non or not for profit kind of endeavor, or is this something they're gonna market and sell?
It's not clear in this article.
Mm-hmm.
I would imagine there's some sort of foundation, maybe a nonprofit of a sort,
mm-hmm.
or maybe what do they call those? Is it a brain trust?
Oh, I think so. Yeah, I know what you mean though. Yep.
Yeah. It could be one of those things, but I mean, they're at Georgia Tech, so it might be just a college. Like a group at a college.
Oh, right.
Academic group. So, but yeah, man, I don't know. I mean, I've got a brother with Down syndrome, and he doesn't physically need a service animal, but it wouldn't be bad.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I'm very excited about this technology and that it's out there and can help people.
I think it's absolutely wonderful.
Yeah. Well, how about we take a break?
Alrighty.
And we'll come back with our discussion topic, which is adaptability.
Mm-hmm.
And that is hard for me to say, and I don't know why.
Adaptability.
All right, we'll be back.
Buying a used vehicle can be very stressful, but HaggleChamp.com makes it much easier. At HaggleChamp.com, all you have to do is tell us what make, model, and year that you're after, and we'll alert our dealer network. Our dealers will give you their offer, and you can declare your #1 contender. That's the offer you like the best so far. This then re-notifies the dealer network and encourages them to give you an even better deal. It's free to use, so head over to HaggleChamp.com. That's HaggleChamp.com.
Welcome back to Foundations for Founders. I am Angel in Seattle.
And I'm Dan in Post Falls.
And this, of course, brought to you by HaggleChamp.com, where you can buy like a champ, save like a champ. Yeah, man, that's pretty cool. I've been thinking about the dog story we just covered, and I think they shouldn't market it to sell. I think they should give it away, because I think that's really cool. Or I suppose the tech and training could make a little money just to reinvest into the idea, and then they can train like rescue dogs for that, like canine units and stuff. I think that'd be kind of cool.
Right. Yeah. Now that we're talking about it and thinking about it, I think it would be good for like retirement homes, because sometimes they have the animals there for emotional support,
Right.
or whatever. That reminds me. I saw a news story today. Henry Cavill, Superman,
Okay.
Man of Steel, recently photographed at the airport with his dog wearing a vest that says "Do not pet, official helper dog, emotional support." So Superman cannot fly without his emotionally supportive dog.
Wow.
Yeah. And that is a real thing. That is not, Now, from what I hear, to get that vest, you have to go to a doctor, and the doctor has to declare that the dog needs to be around you to keep you calm. So that's why the dog can't travel in pet cargo. So, yeah.
Well, there's a person where I work that has a support animal like that, and they do wear a vest that says, support dog, ask to pet me or something like that. And
Right.
they move like a sight assistance dog. You know what I mean? Like where they'll stop and kind of alert you when it's your turn to cross and things like that for folks that can't see. I know
Right.
there's a particular name for that that's lost on me at the moment, but anyway, yeah, does absolutely nothing for physical disability whatsoever. It's just strictly there for moral and emotional support.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't think that was a real thing, but it is.
It is a
Yep,
real thing.
who knew?
Who knew, indeed. So we were talking about discussion topics, and we came up with for today adaptability.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, the idea of either altering your business structure or a business plan sometimes mid campaign or mid product launch, or enhancing a product and or service, or even sometimes even taking away from it.
Yeah.
To hone it down more. But yeah, man, we're kind of going through that right now with Haggle Champ. We're making some changes. I don't think we should quite say yet exactly what the changes are, but we're definitely making some alterations to the service we offer, and it's a lot of it is based off of customer feedback, and I think for startups that's important. I know Tim Ferriss often advocates that if you're going to start a lean startup, to start small and beta test in an area or among a small group and figure out the bugs and then work them out. So then that way you're not working them out on a grander stage and falling on your face.
Yeah.
Plus it also gives you a base of support, which is what we've been doing actually with Haggle Champ.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, man, talk to me a little bit about how you feel about adaptability and how it works in business.
I think ultimately, especially for people that are in the startup realm, you really do have to stay with the business mind first and sticking with the culture of who you are, in the sense that we are a company that's built to put buying power back into the hands of the consumer, right? So
right.
It's easy to trend out based on one opinion or another, but if you have absolutely no ability to adapt to things that the consumer wants, you're probably destined to fail. So I think a lot of that is just evolution of smarter business and learning. If I don't move with what the customer wants, then they're going to stop using the product, that kind of thing. So
Right.
A lot of that's just business driven things, but you have to adapt. Things change all the time, especially in a digital marketplace where we're in. You know, the economy has a big move, especially in what we do with cars. You've seen what happens when you don't adapt with lending agencies and the big house crack at the end of 2008, 2009, when the housing bubble blew, and that was like the big part of the tail end of the recession. So, and granted, these are big market movers, right, where there's a lot of other forces that are influencing the way that money is flowing in that respect. But it's not as though they weren't warned, in a lot of ways. When you see things heading downhill, these guys just, maybe it's a bad example because they just paid their top executives and quit, and everyone else was kind of left picking up the pieces. But, when there's no equity underneath it and the bottom falls out, you got to pick up the pieces or not and wonder what happened, So you have to adapt when things change in a big picture sense, but you have to stay true to who you are in the foundation of what you do too. So it's you can't just chase, every idea, but you can't not adapt or you'll fail.
Right. I agree with that. I'm reading this story that we were looking at and that we were using for the base of this discussion. Comes to us from businessinsider.com. And they had this interesting thing. It says why foxes are better than hedgehogs. It says top corporations put a lot of effort into developing talent. They recruit at elite universities and offer extensive on-the-job training as young executives rise through ranks. They are encouraged to become experts in their field. There is enormous values to becoming the known go-to guy in a particular area. Yet Philip Tentlock studies of pundits found that deep expertise can actually hinder performance. Those who focus on one particular area, the hedgehogs, tend to be confident in their judgment, but are also wrong more often. Yet those who had more diverse knowledge base, the foxes, were not only more cautious, but more accurate.
Yeah, the jack of all trades approach to the working executive. Yeah, there's ebbs and flows to that. I mean, you can't. I would trust somebody that's been in the business, that went to school for the business, that interned for the business and turned out, absolutely wonderful work before becoming the chief financial officer of my corporation. I'd probably trust them a lot more than I would the jack of all trades guy that has spent 5 years in tech, 5 years in marketing, you know what I mean? So not 100% of the time, but yes, that is the way of things. I mean, the moral of that thought from this author is, hey kids, don't go to school, because at the end of the day, it's your work experience that's going to come out. At least that's what I pick up from that particular thought. But in a lot of ways, he's absolutely right. I can't completely dog the idea because, that's exactly what I do in my professional experience, kind of bounding around and then becoming the guy that is not the answer to one problem definitively because that's my expertise. It's having the knowledge base of working in 5 or 6 different indexes of the same type of business, including finance, including marketing, including technology. So it's back and forth.
Right. Yeah. So okay, I think there's one of two ways to look at it. You can either, and I think I'm guilty of this sometimes. You can try and please everyone, and constantly do research and try to figure out what your audience wants, or you can just make a decision sometimes and just go for it. And I think you've got to know when to do either one of those. I think if you had like 0 success, then yeah, maybe listen to other people. But if you've had some success and you have a feeling that really this is the way to go, and I know people don't see it just yet, but trust me, let's do this, then go for it. Like who am I thinking of right now? Yeah, Jessica Alba. So I don't know if you know this, but she's got I think it's a multi-billion-dollar startup.
Yeah. She's also not hard to not think about, I guess. But yeah.
Right, that's true too. So but now you've thrown me off a little bit. But she wanted to come up with a company that essentially you paid a subscription fee, and as a new parent, You just got a care package of baby products. And people told her, oh, no, that's stupid. Nobody would ever do that. They want to pick out whatever it is they need at the time and just get that. Well, she created it, and it's going like gangbusters.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, her company offers multiple different avenues. Like, yeah, you can buy things selectively like Amazon, or you can just get the subscription model and just get that, you know? Oh, what is the name of the company? I'm looking it up right now.
Yeah, being innovative and trailblazing an idea where you have to roll the dice and step out and take risks, because you believe in the backbone of the change that you're making is absolutely fine if it doesn't undermine or change the core culture of who you are or what you do. Otherwise, you just become very unstable in the product that you're selling to your consumer. So in that sense, yeah, it's good, and I think we're a lot better at adapting to smaller things because we're at present a smaller company, and there aren't tons and tons of lives impacted by whether a dice roll is going to make, you know what I mean? But at the same time,
Right.
if we don't follow with big needs and wants from our consumer base, then we're not going to be profitable at the end of the day, and the business won't work either. So it's sort of a fine line, and it's very tough to describe from I guess from a big picture perspective into a smaller perspective, with the same analogy kind of thing, but because it really is different. Things you can adapt, and other things you just laugh off or shake off because they're poor ideas. Did you find
Yeah.
the name of
Yeah, no, I found the name
what's
too. It was called The Honest Company.
ah
They're worth almost $1 billion.
excellent.
Yeah. But yeah, yeah, you're right. With Haggle Champ, yes, it's a smaller company, and we can kind of make a decision on a dime and spin it and move as we need to. That's true.
For now.
For now, right. Once it gets bigger, then yes, it becomes more of an issue down the road, and that's true with any company. Like, I imagine it's a lot harder to come up with a new drink at, Coca-Cola than it is at Jones Soda.
Right.
Yeah.
But again, the backbone of those two companies and the product that they deliver are very different. Coke has stood on the same recipe and
Other than cocaine.
plus minus ingredients like cocaine.
Right.
But for a very long time they have big partnerships and big endorsements and make a ton of money. And Jones was built on the idea that any flavor could be bottled.
Right.
So they can kind of get away with that a little bit more because it's expected, right? Your expectation for that business is there, and they still have their staple drinks. And I'll bet you dollars to donuts that those are still the top producing money makers at their company. Is the tried and true. We know this works at this supermarket in this town, time and time again. I mean, you've got your customer identified right there, and what we do is very, very different. Like we are not a linear company. Right. Everything is pretty iterative in a lot of different ways, especially with the amount of hands that we have building this product from completely different perspectives simultaneously. I mean, you look at the technological marvel from even 3 generations ago was an assembly line. You didn't know what it was until it rolled off the end of the line. Everything had a specific, cost amount, time, place that it was put in, and nobody knew what the product was until it was painted and rolled off the end of the line. And that was it. That was a marvel in productivity. That is not how modern business works in the index that you and I are in. Like it, things are being developed simultaneously while contracts are being written, and like we have the same picture in our head, but then I can toss you a document on Google Documents which you can revise or change while it's simultaneously being loaded up to a poster or something, and by the time you and I are done together, it's already up on a website that's being viewed by thousands and thousands of people. And it's
That's true.
It's not an assembly line. There is nothing linear about what we do, and so the perspective has changed. And I mean, you have to credit technology in business a lot. I mean, obviously ours is a web based that says a lot. I mean, even from a generation ago that money can be made in this fashion. But you have to adapt because you have so many moving parts from completely different perspectives with the same end goal in mind. We founded this on the idea that we could adapt, but it will become harder.
Right.
So
That's true. That's absolutely true.
When you have more lives, at stake in working for you and depending on you, and I mean, there's a lot of responsibility that comes into play with that.
Well, and it almost sounds like what you're saying is it's not just being harder to pivot and adapt, but there's less of the freedom to take risk.
On a long enough timeline, yeah, I would agree.
Yeah.
It would become increasingly harder once you have a presence in doing one thing very, very well. Like you said, you can't be all things to all people all the time.
That's true.
If you have, this is who we are and what we do, and we're willing to bend and change on specific things that need adapting to for business reasons, or that is turns out to be a better idea than we had in the first place. Because there are tons and tons of people smarter at my job than what I do for Haggle Champ. I guarantee it.
Yeah.
Like I'm new, and this is, what I mean. This is a new business endeavor for me, and it is for you. And so I have absolutely no problem recognizing, right? That, like, sure, we have to adapt to that, and there's no problem there. But as time goes on, if we decided, you know what, we're going to start selling sweet rolls.
Yeah, let's do that.
And that's because there's so much money to be made in the bakery market. Outlandish as they be, you can't do that.
Well, Starbucks makes a lot of money selling coffee. We can do that.
Exactly, yeah. And absolutely no competition. Right. They'll just be like, you know what, guys, we had a good run.
They'll back down. Why
don't you
to
go?
us.
Here's the keys. Why don't you drive for a little while?
Yeah. No, I agree with you. We can't be all things to all people. Of course, those are my words. And those, right.
Founder Nation, he's standing by his words. That's the CEO of Haggle.
I agree with one statement that I've said. I also agree with the thing I've mentioned about Seth Rollins earlier. But anyways.
Yeah, you're
I endorse this message. Oh, man. This is how I know the episode's slowly over, so we start making fun of me. But yeah,
okay, so we may or may not, and I'll let you get back to your point in a second. We may or may not make fun of you toward the end of the show, but in the editing room, as it were, I always wind up looking like a total ass.
I have no idea what you mean.
Like, I'm sure we'll edit that out later. No, of course, all your lines of dialogue are seamless when it comes down to you make no mistakes whatsoever, and I'm left laughing maniacally in the background like an ass.
It's just how the record goes.
I'll take a shot where I can take a shot. Anyway.
Now I just feel horrible. Not really, but whatever. Oh, I forgot. So completely off topic from our discussion topic.
Yeah.
I'm going to be interviewed on a podcast tomorrow. The Successful Edge.
There you go.
Or the Success Edge. Sorry, the Success Edge is interviewing me. It's a
excellent. When do they record? On Mondays, I guess. Is that every week? Bi-weekly? Is it monthly?
I know we're recording the interview tomorrow. I don't know when it'll be out. Mm-hmm. I'm sure the guy will tell me tomorrow.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a Christian business podcast. I was invited to come on, so I'm going on and talking, and I'm really excited. Yeah.
Excellent.
So, recording that 9 in the morning tomorrow.
I've not been invited to those parties. So.
I'm actually. You know what? Let's get Angel some podcast people. Let's. If you would like Angel on your podcast, invite him. Angel at hagglechamp.com.
That's true.
What's the Twitter?
It's Angel Aspects.
All right, and I'm Daniel at hagglechamp.com. I will be Angel's representative at this point, so I'll take 10% of his appearance fee. Of your airtime appearance fee. His appearance fee is 0. And you could reach me, Daniel at hagglechamp.com or at Dan Reyes. And let's get him on some shows. What kind of shows do you want to be on? What would you like to talk about?
You know what I would do? I would humbly do any show.
Okay.
Except for pop culture, because I'm really bad at it, and probably anything that has to do with cosmetics, because I don't know anything about that.
I think you do really good, like on a sports-based one. Sports games.
The sports games.
I think you do well.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe something motor vehicle related of a sort.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So something like that.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Cars, bikes.
Yeah.
You name it.
Movies. Maybe a magical show of a sort.
I don't know. You're falling off the.
I was going to
rails
say a
there. I don't know
magical,
what
like
magical show.
cards, magic cards.
Oh, I'm not. I'm a fan, but I'm not. I don't know much about the Magic the Gathering. To be fair,
Okay.
Not as much as some of the. I mean, I've seen the YouTube video coverage of whatever World Championship. I'm lost.
Yeah, I've
when I watch those shows.
That's
Yeah.
more than I've done looking for it. So.
Yeah, it's like, oh look, they're online. This is great. What are they playing with? Oh my God, what does that
Right.
mean? Like, yeah, and they use every word they say is an acronym for another word. It's
Oh
weird.
yeah, I wouldn't be able to handle that.
Mhm.
That would be far too much for me.
Yeah. I can't follow. I can't follow with
Okay.
Magic.
Well then, never mind. Well, I think that's it for the show this week.
Yeah,
Um,
possibly. Sorry, I cut off your
Oh,
phone
it's
thought
fine.
on adapting
It's
in modern
fine.
business.
The dog is looking at me
Yeah.
like he wants to go out anyways. So. yeah,
Excellent.
that's my cue.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we will see you again next week, next Monday, people, or Sunday, whatever. Monday, Sunday.
Mhm. Founder
Yes.
Nation. Yeah,
All right. Yeah. See you next time.
doing it for you. Excellent. Have a good night.
Bye.